we go. It's s'more time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Fireside Chat. My name is Margaret. I'm a historical fiction and fantasy author. And if you've been here before, you probably know all that because it's my job to tell you. But for Fireside Chats, every weekday in August, I'm welcoming a new creative guest onto the show to talk about what they do that's creative, how they get fired up, and also do a little mini work session to charge our creative batteries. So today I have my lovely friend Melia Dicker. And Leah, please introduce us to who you are and what you're doing in life right now.
Hey, I'm Melia Dicker. I'm an ADHD coach and a writer. I do personal narrative and memoir writing. And I know Margaret from college and beyond. We grew up in California and went to Santa Clara University and did a public service program called Public Allies Together. And so I worked in education after I graduated, started a nonprofit, basically was a high achiever throughout school, like Margaret and many of the listeners, I imagine. Program, praise for being smart, a pleasure to have in class. There's a great tweet that I love. It's like, anyone who is a pleasure to have in class now has an anxiety disorder.
I saw that recently too.
Yes. Very much identify with that. So I went actually into education to try to explore different models of school, because once I graduated, I checked all the boxes in school. I did what I was told. I got all the grades. I got into a good college, and I was like, then they're like, here's your diploma. Go have a great life and build success and make your own decisions and build skills. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't have any real world skills. So that was a rude awakening. So, I don't fault any of my teachers or the schools themselves. It's just the institution and the model that I'm realizing even today. I'm, my early 40s now, and still learning that you don't arrive at success or the good life, or you don't, living the dream, found happiness. Like, you don't stay there. Everything is impermanent. And it's just a process of, like Pema Chodron, the Buddhist monk, says, things don't really get solved. They fall apart and they come back together again. And they fall apart. And that's just the nature of reality. And I think the sooner you learn that, the happier, or the more peaceful, let's say, the more grounded contentment you'll have in life. So I explored that through education after graduation, and throughout, writing has been my creative outlet since I was a kid, telling stories, mostly about once I got into high school and college, really just basically like looking at a moment of my experience through a lens of like, what could this say about life and what could potentially other people find relatable.
Yeah.
I imagine most, fans of Margaret Pinard probably relate to, the gifted, neurodivergent, potentially high achieving thing. So I didn't know that I had ADHD until the pandemic. Like many people, especially women, who suddenly found ourselves after, achieving well in school, doing reasonably well in career, but also paying a very high cost to mental and physical well-being throughout school. I was a good student. I was a good girl, and praised for being smart, praised for all these things. But inside, so much anxiety, so much dread, so much just being found out for being an imposter or falling from the top spot in the class. And then who would I be? And didn't have anything else. And so that's just a really dangerous thing to teach children. Again, don't fault anybody. It's just the toxic air that everyone breathes, including the teachers, including, So, it was a process to learn, kind of reorient basically my own internal compass to what I actually wanted to do, not only in life, but just like today, like, what do I want to wear? What do I want to eat? Any kind of decisions, instead of like, can you please just give me, an instruction manual? There's a Simpsons episode where Lisa Simpson, like the teachers go on strike, and Lisa Simpson like runs into Marge, her mom, is like, grade me, like, tell me I'm so smart and wonderful, please. And Marge like writes, she's like disturbed and writes this big A on a paper and gives it to Lisa, and she's like,
yeah. Freedom is a big responsibility, I think, is the lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a journey to break the people pleasing, the perfectionism, and going back to ADHD. In the pandemic, having our coping skills. Those of us who were diagnosed then, I couldn't go to the gym, couldn't see my friends, like all the things that I had scaffolding, the supports to just keep going, and the structure fell away, and then adding a lot of stress. And I have 2 children who were home. They also have ADHD. We've learned since. And so 3 neurodivergent people in a house, couldn't get anything done, couldn't start anything, couldn't finish anything, felt overwhelmed and anxious, and struggled with depression. The things that had been, demons throughout my life just came back, full force. And so learning that ADHD in women often shows up as internal restlessness, anxiety, the people pleasing. You.
Every stream, at least once.
Was a revelation to me. And since then, I received ADHD coaching for 2 years and learned a ton about it, got certified as a life coach, and began specializing in coaching adults with ADHD. And then continue to just write on my own, not very much lately. So I'm looking forward to our creative session tonight to do like a little bit of creative exploration.
I see a lot of books behind you. And I was teasingly asking Melia earlier, like, if that was a virtual background, because it looks like there's plants, there's books, there's soothing neutral colors. It's like every therapist's like background.
Real background, the real plant. I've kept it alive so far. And then, yes, most of these books they're psychology, personal development, neuroscience, those things that I've fell in love with early in college, studied psychology, and then continued to go into that field, even with education, with communications writing for nonprofits and such, and then now coaching.
Yeah, awesome. So if you've got psychology questions, feel free to ask in the chat or in the comments. I have done all of my psychological / meditation philosophy reading since college because I didn't take a single class in it. So I've been but I wanted to say hello to the folks in the chat. We had Felicia was here early. RC Scott was here with his hearts. I'm sorry I've been very busy, RC. I'm not purposely calling you out here. Anita's here to say hello. Cool Gamer. Excuse me. Leslie is here. Hello. Leslie and I were just laughing about the Instagram story music that I used for this talk. It can be fun. It can still be fun. Victoria talks writing. She said earlier it came right in time to be called out, which is relatable. But we're here to laugh about our foibles, right? And read, love, listen. Good evening. Thank you. Excuse me. I seem to sneeze like once on every stream. I don't know what it is, but
maybe it's the bright light. Sometimes that can make you sneeze.
Cat. I think it's just a cat all the time. So, as you know, I usually offer a buffet of possibilities to each guest that comes on. So what are we going to be doing for our mini work session today? Okay. And how do you tweak it? Because you gave us a new little tweak, so we'll do something a little different today.
All right. So in my experience, a lot of folks who do creative work have a project or a piece of a project that is kind of lying fallow, that you haven't touched in a while, that you might even think about with a bit of dread or shame or fear, or overwhelm, because it's been so long since you've done anything with it, or something that you have a seed of an idea and want to explore. It could be something that you need to go back and edit but don't want to, and this is the perfect time to do that, to kind of just dust off something. Or I'm glad it resonated with you.
I'm ready.
Yes, so a project that's been sitting in the closet or a drawer, or something that you want to see if you still have, a fire burning for it, maybe just a little spark or little embers that you just kind of want to kindle again. And I'm going to be going into it's a long story, but it's a personal project. You can read about it at reschoolyourself.com if you like. But this is basically my come to Jesus project with school, and basically doing a Billy Madison meets Eat, Pray, Love, and going back to my old schools with permission from my teachers, being a kid again it was about 6 months total, a week at each grade. So elementary, from kindergarten, and then all the way up through our college, staying in the dorms.
Before Eat, Pray, Love, though? You did it before.
Oh, no.
Right?
No? Yeah. So It was kind of inspired by You Pray, Live, in a Way, just in terms of the personal journey memoir. That's something that it wasn't on my radar until then. And then I read Wild and read The Happiness Project. It was like, oh, this is something I could do. And so I quit my job at the nonprofit I co-founded, around education and engaging kids in lifelong learning and hands-on inquiry-based learning, and then did this project. So I wrote a manuscript, and this is, I self-published this, and Margaret graciously edited a copy. So that work will not go unused, I hope. Part of what I'm doing is like pulling open this large box of clippings and pieces of writing. So just see if there's still something there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that feels like a really long time ago. Just FYI for people in the comments, when we met, our Public Allies class was class of 2004. My graduating class was 2003. So like that's 20 years right there.
And a year.
We just did a 10 years in publishing sort of live stream with a couple other authors where we were talking about our experiences in publishing. And I was like, I don't even remember when I like sent you comments or beta reading comments. I'm sure I was like a baby, did not know how to self-publish anything yet. So like it's a whole new world.
Well, maybe there will be a new version for you to read one of these days. But I remember reading maybe possibly your first or one of your first books.
The first one, yeah. I have a big box of all the hard copies that people sent back because that's I knew what to do. I put it on the espresso machine. I sent out paperbacks, and I got like 6 or 7 or 8 paperbacks back that I had.
That's amazing.
Clip with whatever those things are called, and on a tool bench, like. What are they called?
Oh, I don't know.
Clamps. Doctors need them too. From page to page, so that I could like do them all. Like, oh my god, it was not the way to do it.
That's like how Dora Welty would edit her work. I lived in Mississippi for a while, Mississippi, and she would cut out the words from the typewriter and move them around on the page, which is amazing to see. You can go to the Dora Welty house in Jackson and see that. Amazing.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is old times, good times, but yeah, we're digging it out. So Melia says she's looking at her manuscript and clippings and sort of stuff gathered over the years. I was sort of showing, I've got papers, I've got notebooks, I've got Post-its, I've got random stuff that is short stories that I've compiled loosely, and also like whole sections of things that I actually researched and put to the side and haven't been feeling. There's like tons of manuscripts in the drawer. So that's what we're going to work on. We're going to go revisit old stories, started stories, possibilities. And I think you mentioned look at them with beginner's mind. So if you can, try to like, oh, look at that. A previous version of me had a good idea. How do I feel about it now? Does it still spark something? Do I feel like I can take it further? Or do I know of a home for it? Can I see where it might fit in?
Yeah, and I recommend if any kind of, because we often have big feelings triggered by this stuff. And so if you have any judgment or self-doubt or fear or shame, or just like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't do anything with this, then just like let it come up and just float away. Because what I like to do is be a scientist. That's something I tell my clients, where just like, oh, imagine you're in a study or self-study and you're just like, oh, what is this? Curiosity. And then just seeing what's there.
Right.
And say, that's interesting, and leaning in without judgment.
Yeah. I need to do a standalone video of this book review because it's so big, but I just finished The Body Keeps the Score, and that's about like getting people who are trapped in PTSD situations to be able to be that scientist, sort of neutral observer, to be able to process memories and let go of it. And so I was like, that's such a good metaphor. So that's what we're going to be doing. Let me go ahead and fix up a little timer so that we have a visual cue here.
And if you're not working on a creative project, you can feel free to use this for any kind of time. If you want to read or do something that you've been meaning to do for a while, use this as body doubling, it's called in the ADHD world, where it's just a lot easier to get something done when someone else is present. But please don't just stare at us while we're doing something else, because that would be really creepy and I'd be really weirded out.
What are you talking about? That's the YouTube way. Okay. No. This is what I have so that we're not so
Oh,
obvious.
good. I like that. Yes. Big fire.
With a fire.
Okay.
We've got our timer, so we're going to start our first 15-minute round. And I will mute myself so that you don't get any humming and hawing, and come back in 15 minutes and we'll see what we find and what we're excited about. How about that?
We'll do the same. Me too.
pencils down. Pause that and slip it behind the curtain there. Oh my goodness. I thought I had done this not too long ago, but I must not have looked very closely because there were some funny things. And okay, you know writers and notebooks?
Mm-hmm.
Like we've got a few, right? So I've definitely like hoarded this for a long time because it starts in 2014 and it's only this big. So
it ends in 2020?
What's that?
It ends in 2020 or present day?
No, it's still not finished. I've still got like 2 or 3 pages left for the flash fiction during these fireside chats.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I had a couple things I put in the chat that were a little crazy. So yeah, so it goes back to that. I was like screaming at myself and being funny. And then another one, do you guys know what cross writing is? I bet Anita does if she's still here. I was being a weirdo and like wrote something and then went back and wrote in between upside down. I don't know.
Is that involving like your right brain or like what is?
I don't know. I think it was. It's journaling, so I have no idea why I was doing it. I was just being a creative weirdo, which is welcome here. So yeah.
Sometimes it helps you see something from a different angle, quite literally.
Yeah. I got 2 sort of short stories that I had interest in and 1 nonfiction that I just started to like put the summary down when I realized it was close to the time ending. So I'll pick that up around. I haven't placed my nonfiction anywhere, but that is an interesting possibility. So would you
yeah. I'd be curious to read some more. I mean, you write kind of in your newsletter, some personal narrative. Have you written anything, like essays or things like that? Memoir type things?
Yeah, I do. I do a couple blog posts on my Patreon. And, you know, for a while I had a blog that I was writing on regularly. It was like travel stuff. It was writing stuff. It was personal development stuff. It's evolved. You've seen many of the evolutions. I was on Medium for a while until that like was not a thing. I don't know. The world has changed a lot. So my nonfiction has been places, but I've never like placed it somewhere, as in and had it be part of a publication.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A whole new avenue. Yeah, I love, you know, authors like Elizabeth Gilbert who write a lot of nonfiction and fiction really beautifully.
What did you come up with? How are you feeling about your first round?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of flipped through the book. I didn't really read any of the manuscript, but I was reading an article that had come out. This is September 5th, 2008. Yeah. A long time ago. And there's a picture of baby Melia. I don't think you can probably see it here, but yeah, it was a front page of the Sonoma newspaper, Sonoma, California. Pretty big deal. And that was a great story. Emily Terrier Botts, who was now she's the editor of, I don't know, Press Democrat or something big in the area, did a really good job. It's so interesting to read about yourself and about your projects, because then people summarize it in a way that sometimes when you're so close to it, you want to share all the details, especially if you have ADHD. And then they boil it down to kind of the essence. And if they do a good job, and you're like, oh, that's a great way to describe it, where other people will get it right away. Yeah. So yeah, she did that. But yeah, there's still some things that are very spicy or like trigger emotion for me. Okay.
So you said 2 things that have different correlations with like authors on YouTube. So
interesting.
When you say spicy, usually that means sex scenes. So you just like a bunch of ears just perked up when you said that.
I can't say that there's any of them. There's a love story. I meet my husband in the book, and then but it's very PG, probably G, honestly. No, when I say spicy, I mean something that's like triggering or tricky or
different kind of heat. Yeah.
In the the college.
And the other thing mentioned was someone else summarizing your story in a different way. And actually, a lot of authors get their synopsis by having someone else read their story and sort of spit it back out, because you're right, they are too close and they see too many things, and it's hard for them to resume it down. But go on Fiverr, $5, it will get you like, oh, here's what you need to say, and this will be like catchy for your Amazon description or whatever. So interesting.
That's awesome.
Fun
Yeah.
fact.
And then be a scientist, in telling your story to other people, seeing kind of where the eyes light up, or people lean in or ask questions or perk up, and then see kind of what resonates and what description, kind of what language really ignites people's attention.
Yeah. We had some more people come in. So I know Deidre came in a while ago to say hi, smash the like button. Thank you. Angeline, she called us cool people, so I definitely had to say thank you. Melia's in the chat and managed to do it without doing the audio loop, so kudos. Already an audio pro. Shannon's here, hit the like button. Yay. Thank you, Shannon. Kat's Novel Adventures. Sorry I'm late for my date with this Fireside Chat. Kat's too busy winning at all the polls on my channel. That's why. Cynthia, hello. Yep, romance reader. Talking about spice level. Shannon mentioning
spicy.
Close door romance. Definitely. That's super cool. All right, so nonfiction. Other people seeing your story. I like the direction this is going. Are we ready for another round? Before we go into another round, what's your favorite word so that people can note it down and pop it into a comment after we're done?
Yes. Okay. The word is equanimity. Equanimity. I love this one. So the definition: mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. This is aspirational for me. Emotional regulation, being big feelings and big reactions, and the calm in the eyes.
Yeah.
Just that island of peace in the chaos of life, even keel. That's what I'm seeking. And we can find it in the now. It just takes returning to the moment, to our breath, to who we really are, and remembering. So constant aspiration every day. But I love that word. I think it's something to aspire to. And something that I think that we can teach children. We can practice ourselves and model the best we can.
Okay, so that is the favorite word for today's show. So if you are just coming to this, if you wait till the live stream is over and you put a comment on the page on YouTube that says the word, which is equanimity, you're entered to win a bookish mail package at the end. It's open to international folks, as Deidre asked. So I will send something probably a little bulkier to American folks if it's an American who wins, but something also fun and cool if you're international as well. So feel free to remember, do that after we close. But let me rig up our next timer here. So 39, 49, 54. Math. I'm reading Babel by R.F. Kuang, and they said something about it's easy to steal silver from the school because it's run by a bunch of linguists. They can't do math. And I was like, excuse me, I resemble that remark. True. All right, so let's do this again. We'll put Melia on top so she's not blocked out by the chat. So we'll do another 15-minute leap, and what we're doing is just going into our archives and rustling through and seeing if there's anything we want to pick up and run with. If you have feelings about that, maybe processing them a little bit, and so dive back, and we'll see you in 15 minutes. We're at 54. I just crumpled up a piece of paper and threw it away from me. What does that mean?
What was that piece?
It was something that I've been holding on to so that I didn't forget which people said they were also working on a collection of interconnected short stories.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, so back during the AWC in July. Anyway, recently, we had an after party and like 5 different people sprung up out of the woodwork and were like, "Oh yeah, I'm working on one of those too." And I was like, I thought this was a niche thing, but apparently like it's the new novel in your back pocket.
Oh, cool.
So I'm very surprised. But I still don't know what that means.
Yeah, I would be curious to read that. That's new to me. I like movies like that have the interconnected stories.
What's a movie that has interconnected short stories?
Well, the one that comes to mind is Playing by Heart. That's an old school one. Angelina Jolie's in it, and Gillian Anderson, a lot of amazing people, Ryan Felipe, but all these amazing characters are tied together. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but you're dating. So I haven't heard that name in like a decade.
Felipe, baby. Reese Witherspoon's first husband.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, that's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I would say Love Actually, but it also has a lot of problems. So it's problematic in some ways, but also close to my heart in other ways. 2 things are true.
Okay. Yeah, like Jane Eyre. I always give yes for that. Yeah. I was hoping to get to these because these are ideas for promotions. So I'd written down like if I'm going to do shorts on YouTube and TikToks, those are vertical format and it requires a different sort of like content or like approach. And so I thought about this, I don't know, like June. So they've been sitting there on those notes going, you should be starting those vertical format videos. You should be doing
Be careful of that should. If you replace it with a could, it's so much more inviting. Otherwise, the should is just like your nervous system's like, nope, danger.
Well, I put it there, and this is another thing that I do, which is why my place is a little more cluttered than other people's. When I'm waiting for myself to do something and trying to like low-key nudge, but like poke, but not pressure, I'll put it out in plain sight and be like, this needs to be dealt with. That happens for 17 things. It gets overwhelming. So.
Oh yeah. Story of my life. Post-its are still I have a Post-it dispenser. It's still my like raw capture system of choice, but then if you don't process them regularly, then there's a mountain of Post-its. So that's the key.
Process regularly.
That time to process. Yeah. Right. Body doubling is a great time for that.
Processing? Oh, raw material.
Like going through them and then putting them on a schedule or somewhere else besides that, or you could do them. Yeah. Getting things done I lightly do the getting things done method of do it if it takes 2 minutes or less, or defer it to a certain time, delegate or delete.
Yeah. Delegate. I'm not good with that one. Okay. How did you do? What did you find or process or?
Yeah, I read the rest. There were 2 articles. There was a follow-up by the same reporter. And so it was interesting to see, what I had come out of the project with was like, I want to feel like I can handle what comes at me, just whatever comes up, I'm still on that quest to just have that self-trust and that just grounded the equanimity to just trust that I'll know what to do. In Buddhism, they call it spontaneous appropriate action. So I thought that was still true, but I opened the long put in a box manuscript, and actually I liked it more than I expected because it wasn't the manuscript I wanted to write. It's kind of the story I tell myself about this because I was doing journalism at the time, like freelance writing and reporting, and so I think was more of like feature writing it instead of as internal and emotional journey as I think it could be. And so having read like Glennon Doyle, more recently, I think I could incorporate more of that. But I think I don't know, it's the raw material is better than I thought. That was a happy surprise.
Good.
Yeah. How about you? Any other takeaways?
I got a couple more like really short things that if I expanded could be submitted. I don't know how many opportunities I will have to submit short stories. I had 2 this year that turned out really well, and if you look down in the description, you'll see I've got Half Human Heroes, which is a sci-fi fantasy anthology, and Stygian Collection, which is a dark and stormy night kind of fiction collection and poetry. And those sort of like just popped up, fell in my lap, whereas I feel like if I have something and I'm trying to place it, I'm going to have to search out those opportunities, and that's like a whole nother side quest that is not my like dear and near to my heart kind of thing. Right. So it might be pulling me away from like the work that I not should, but need to be doing.
That's a euphemism for sure.
On the episode, that's on one of the episodes
doing that you want to be.
Talk about your podcast. So one of the projects that has evolved over the years is a podcast that you do with your sister Jillian. So you want to tell us a little bit about Semi Together and where the title comes from?
Yes, absolutely. My sister Jillian Burgess and I are very, very close, and we have not lived in the same place since about 2007 before this project. And so Semi Together was a podcast we came up with to stay in touch. So it was like we're semi together, meaning that we're, together in spirit, but far apart. And then also the concept is a podcast about having some of your life together all the time. The idea, we have a segment called Get It Together, Got It Together, that there's at any time, there's one or multiple things going well, and then multiple things going not as well or not as you want. So we explore things like, anxiety or awe is something, AWE, awe and wonder that we just covered. We pull a lot of research and kind of break it down. We hope that, in a way people can get their heads around, and then we share our own experience of that topic. So it's Semi Together. It's on all the podcast platforms, but we, lately haven't been coming out with as many episodes as we'd like, but we will be recording one on what makes for a good life pretty soon, or next week.
Nice. Okay, I just tried to put the link in the chat and it gave me a whole bunch of like messy things. So let me read that. There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, my ADHD coaching practice is Rising Spiral Coaching. And the idea is we encounter the same, there's a learning spiral curriculum, a theory of learning, where it's like we wonder, haven't I figured this out by now? I should know this by now. Like I thought I solved this problem, but it's like we're encountering it kind of at a different time in our lives, under different circumstances, with the experience and perspective from the past. So we just kind of meet that same topic. It's very human, we just go through these, like
describing my dating life. Oh my God.
You're not backsliding. You're not back at square one. I don't think that's a thing. I mean, literally you have all those experiences and the knowledge and perspective from the past that no one can take away from you. So just think like, what have I learned? How am I seeing this differently? Even if it feels the same, you feel stuck. It's not a thing.
Okay. I did find I put this in the chat. I forgot already. I had an entry where I was like going to do a blog post or something on single girl food. I think I actually might have meant it as like a reader magnet when I was still doing food stuff. And now that would obviously be called girl dinner. Have you seen those posts? Like, no?
My husband is very much a social media guy, specifically Twitter or X now, but he explains these things to me. Sometimes he's got to peel back the layers of multiple references. And I'm just like,
yep.
Like a seminar TED Talk.
Yeah, seriously. Kat is here. I have some administrative tasks to take care of tonight, mainly emails. Awesome. I hope you got through some of those with our crackling fireplace ambiance. I also sometimes write my dreams. So I don't know if you're very strict about keeping journal apart from dreams, from fiction, from things, but like sometimes mine seep into the wrong piece and then like I'm not going to copy it over somewhere. It is where it landed. So that could ostensibly be a start to a sci-fi story. Cause I was like something with fuzzy socks in the Grand Canyon and aliens. I was like, what?
Very good.
Shannon was working on her nonfiction book and releasing it to beta readers, which is very exciting.
Fantastic.
We just did a 4.5-hour masterclass sort of trial run in order to announce sort of sneakily that she's writing this book about this topic, which is newsletter marketing. It's amazing.
So exciting. Yes, and celebrate your wins. That's a big tip. And when you have other people to celebrate with, even better. Yes. Lots of dopamine, lots of reinforcement. Keep up the good.
Yeah, someone mentioned, and I don't remember who, but Dose, I think is one of the books that I read, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, and like described the different ways that they're generated. But they're all related, and I get them confused about what generates what and what feelings they embody or make come to the surface.
Yeah, and sometimes combination. I don't know if it matters all that much in day-to-day life. It's just like you want to get those feel-good chemicals going.
Yeah. Victoria says, pausing my lurking to mention, I love girl dinner. Okay, so if you don't know, girl dinner is women sharing pictures of their madcap sort of thrown together snack dinners that don't make sense. They're not real dinners, but it's what you throw together when you're just making food for yourself and what you feel like. And I'm like,
yeah, snack dinner is what we called that growing up.
Oh yeah, okay. We didn't have that. We had leftover dinner. We had breakfast for dinner. We never had like a snack. Victoria says, I spent most of this time trying to figure out my class schedule this semester. It was a mess, but it should be all settled now. Well done.
Way to go.
Very cool. All right. Well, we're at the end of our time. We always go a little bit over the hour. So thank you so much for hanging in there. Definitely check out Melia's coaching website and her podcast with her sister. They're a delight to listen to, I can tell you. And yeah, don't forget, we are doing this all month, every weekday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow's guest is C.M. Lockhart, or Chelsea, as you may know her. She writes Black fantasy novels and has one dropping, I think, like 6 days after she's on the show. So she's going to be like, I don't know, maybe a little crazy with the lead up to the launch, but definitely tune in tomorrow to ask. She's got special things going on, so it should be really fun. And yeah, don't forget equanimity. As soon as we finish, you can drop it in the comments down below for a chance to win on August 31st.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, and thanks to everyone who joined.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Happy reading. Take care of yourselves. And we'll see you again soon.